We good. We're good. Sorry, everyone. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. How are you all doing on a Sunday afternoon? Bright and sunny for me. Don't know where you are, but wherever you are, I hope you had a good weekend. I hope you're enjoying the final hours of your weekend, finding some time to rest and recharge. But glad you made time tonight to stop by the channel because this is United versus Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and we are back with a match reaction. Now, I know normally I like to wait, right, and get one sleep before I kind of before I have a match reaction. Usually we're all up in our feelings, but honestly, watching that, it kind of felt like sleeping. So I'm going to count that as a sleep. So it was a bit of a boring match as the Manchester Derby ends 0-0, and Ruben Amorim does end up taking 4 points from 6 against Pep this season. But again, it was kind of a boring match. I mean, aside from some of those counterattacks that they did get me to kind of get up off my seat a little bit, and then we kind of had a late flurry in the end. But it was just boring aside from that. But still, I do think we were the better side. Ultimately, I do think that the better chances came from us. I do feel like we looked more dangerous. And as that being said, I do consider this 2 points dropped, in my opinion. I think that we definitely should have gotten more out of the match, and we probably would have done had we had some better finishing. And that's just not digging out strikers. That's just digging out the team, because everybody, Dorgu, Mazraoui, Garnacho, everybody was just shanking, skying. It was just not great today. So, but we're back. We're going to give our thoughts and opinions on the match, the performances, look at some numbers and whatnot. Obviously, I've got my 3 thoughts to go over, but I want your guys' thoughts. Let me know who your man of the match was, too, as we go along. Members, you do have access to that man of the match emoji. You go ahead and let me know. We're going to start with some news first. So, but first, kick off with the big up to the under 18s. I don't know if you guys woke up early to watch that match yesterday, but they woke up early and chose violence, that's for sure, if y'all were watching that match, because Musa decided he was just going to take some heads. 13-1 against Leeds. Musa scored 6. Thwaites had 3, including another direct from a free kick. Armour had 1 as well. And then JJ Gabriel came on. I think he's 14-year-old, came on, scored a brace, and while also becoming our youngest ever player for the under 18s. So the future looks bright, but that was an absolute big up match yesterday. Let me hear what you guys are saying. Rob, good to see you. Hit that like button and subscribe. United fans, yes, please do. And like this guy also says, hit the like button and subscribe. I've never seen my own thing on there before. Interesting. But big up, Rob. Danny B in the house. How are you doing, man? Good to see you. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. Same old poo since Ollie, says Danny. Diabolical in the final third. Yeah, it wasn't great in the final third. I thought we were a little too hesitant in many ways. There was one too many touches. The final ball was not great. And then some chances just didn't. Like Ugarte should have had one, Dorgu should have had one, Garnacho should have had another one. It was just when the chances did finally fall to somebody, they just weren't good enough. But big up, Danny. Justin, what's good? I texted you earlier, man. I was trying to see if you want to go kick a ball around today. It's sunny out, but I hope you're doing well, man. Hope you and the fam are enjoying your Sunday. Justin's about to have a kid here next month, y'all. Wish him congratulations. He and his wife, they're welcoming baby number 3. So big up. Danny says, experience 9.5 decent 10 with Bruno. We win that 2 or 3-0. Yeah, I mean, just better finishing. Like, we can't finish our dinner right now, and it's killing us. Rob says 13-1. I watched the highlights. Quality. Yeah, it was Musa just was on one. He just was possessed. He was a man possessed yesterday, that kid. And that's the thing, like I was saying in the chat yesterday, in the comments, Musa and Cheeto are so very different in terms of their profile. Musa is definitely a player who can pick the ball up a little deeper, carry it with pace and a bit of trickery, and actually create something for himself. While Cheeto is, I think, the better poacher, the better all-around, like, finisher, Musa is definitely more of a forward than just an out-and-out, straight-up finishing number 9. But obviously yesterday he was finishing just fine, so what do I know? But yeah, it looked a little bit at first like he wasn't going to be able to kind of step in and fill that void, but we just had to change the way we can't play Musa the same way we play Cheeto. And I think once we realize that at that level, things start clicking into place. But it does help when you've got guys like Thwaites and whatnot kind of pitching in as well. So yeah, Danny says JJ could have had 4. Yeah, I ended up turning it off later on. I had some other stuff I had to run and do, so I didn't actually see the last couple minutes, which is kind of a bummer. But I did watch his goals. So, but he's got I saw he had really good movement, really good, just a drop of the shoulder, getting into a channel, getting on the end of something. That's really good. I like what I saw from him. But and Danny says, yeah, congrats, Justin. Yes, congrats, Justin. Congrats to the fam for the new edition on the way next month, downloading soon, right? Buffering at the moment. Danny says Musa could play as an inside forward. Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, Danny. I think he's got the movement, the ability on the ball, especially in those kind of channels. I think he can definitely, kind of like Biancheri, I think he can definitely play in one of those roles a little bit. Rob says, are Leeds just bad? We lost to Villa a few days before. I mean, it's Leeds, but no, they were on a different level yesterday, the under 18s. I've not ever seen Musa play like that before in my life. The guy was it just looked like everything he was touching was just going into the back of the net. Everything he was doing was coming off. That was probably the best I've ever seen Musa play at that level. So big up there. Recaps, good to see you again. Big up, man. Good to see you. Hope you're enjoying the end of your weekend. Then it says, arguably, that was the 18th second team. Yeah, I remember you had said that on the comments. Yeah, that wasn't even like, there were some plays in there like Plunkett doesn't get a whole ton of minutes at this level yet. So, and Armour, big up Armour for grabbing himself a goal as well. But Danny thinks he got the selection wrong against Villa. He maybe could be. Rob says, congrats, Justin. If the little one is a daughter, you're always going to be paying and doing lifts and stuff. He's got a daughter. He's got a son and a daughter right now. I was just over there last night hanging out with him, fulfilling my Uncle Sean duties. Yeah, so they're going to have a number 3 on the way. He's going to be outnumbered, so I'm going to have to go over there just to even the odds at some point. And then Kai, big up Kai. Good to see you, man. Thanks for dropping in today. So everybody get locked in. Yes, hit that like button, subscribe. We were just going to dive into the news after just giving props to the under 18s because they were immense yesterday. So let's get stuck in. Look at some news. So a little bit of transfer news potentially. This is coming from Alan Nixon, aka Reluctant Nico on Twitter, if you guys are familiar. Pretty decent outlet. He reported this morning that United had shortlisted another keeper apparently for the summer window. Reportedly, this time it is 28-year-old Preston North End shot stopper Freddie Woodman. It definitely seems to me like Bayindir's leaving. We could possibly see Tom Heaton retire. The guy is getting up there now, kind of going the Lee Grant route, kind of staying on as a keeper coach a little bit, half and half kind of thing. Probably going to be stuck with Onana next year, but because this guy, so this Freddie Woodman, obviously plays for Preston. He's 28. I don't think we need to buy a backup keeper. We need to buy a number 1. But the thing is this Woodman cat is free in the summer, so he'd be a free agent. I'm not as bothered with a 28-year-old free agent as a backup, but I still don't want us to pay 28-year-old backup keeper wages when we've got youngsters maybe who could take up that spot. But then you run into the thing like, do you want the youngsters to go out and get minutes or something? So I see both sides to that. But looking at his numbers, I looked those up earlier. His numbers are actually pretty good. So could be an adequate backup. The only issue is he's also out for the season right now with an ankle injury. So he's not even playing at the moment. But if we're looking at free agents, if we're looking for backups and Bayindir is leaving, you could do worse. But again, I don't know why we're looking at a guy who's got an ankle injury that let him out all season, even if he is free and even if his numbers are good. So Danny says, first game I thought I saw a player in Armour. Yeah, he looked decent. He does, to his credit, he always does seem to pop up on something on corners. It's just he struggles to defend those long balls over the top. He's not really good at that kind of stuff. And he doesn't really seem to me like a leader at the back. It seems like all the leadership in that young side comes from like guys like Camison or players a little higher up the pitch. Armour just doesn't really seem like he carries himself that way. Doesn't mean he can't, doesn't mean he's bad, but I like to see a little bit more of that from my defenders personally, but that's just me. So on keepers, Danny says, we have a young keeper. That guy wasn't good enough for Newcastle backup. Yeah, I mean, he's free, but he's injured. So we'll see how it is. Rob said Tom Heaton's had a great job and a payday. Tom Heaton's basically there. You need to have like 3 keepers just in training alone. Like, and if you guys watch any of the warm ups, like it takes 3 keepers to warm up like your first keeper. So usually the keeper will spend like 5-10 minutes, like Onana will be kind of on his box, and then he'll have both other keepers kind of out about 20-30 yards out wide, and each of them will kind of ping in balls and crosses and stuff for him to come out and claim. So you need 2 keepers basically aside from your number one. So some of it is a numbers thing with Heaton, so it is what it is, but I just don't know why we couldn't put one of the youngsters in there, but it is what it is. Danny says, I wasn't familiar with the other CB. I don't even remember who the other center back was yesterday personally. The game kicked off at like 6:30. So, but yeah, I'd go back and forth on this 28-year-old. I don't understand why. I mean, we would look at an injured keeper, but it is Jay. Welcome back, Jay says, I can remember at some point we had Dubravka on loan. Yes, we did have Dubravka on loan. And then he left in January, went back to Newcastle, and then he could not play in that cup final because he was cup tied. And then did they let him lift? Did they let him have a Carabao Cup medal? And I can't remember now. Someone let me know if they let Dubravka get a Carabao Cup medal after we won that one. Robert Reed, welcome. Everybody's jumping in. I like it. Happy Sunday to you too, Robert. If we said at the beginning of the season we would take points from City in both games, we would all have been happy. Yeah, but again, today is one of those games where going into it, I thought it was going to be a draw, but then once the game started and we were playing the way we were playing, and I saw how good we looked, I wanted 3 points because we should have had 3 points. Today was, to me, is points dropped. I mean, I'm not going to complain too much. You know, points are worth their weight in gold right now with the way we're playing and stuff. Obviously, I put a lot of my eggs in the Europa League basket at this point, but still would have been nice. But yeah, like you're saying, 4 points from 6 against City this season is not bad. So, but if any of you are also still on Arden Yashari watch, he scored a brilliant goal against Royal Antwerp this morning in their Belgian Cup tie. Timed his run perfectly, coming from his own half, getting on a ball that was whipped around the outside, took it the whole length of that half on his own, and then perfectly cushioned it into the far bottom corner to give Club Brugge the win, basically. So Arden Yashari is definitely the deep line playmaker that I think we need to get. Obviously, we were linked with him last week. I'm trying not to get my hopes up because you guys know how much I love Arden Yashari, but he did play very, very well this morning. So Robert Reed says, I don't disagree, but we are officially safe. We're safe. I'm not worried about relegation at this point. My expectations for the Premier League now are if we go the entirety of the season without a single instance of back-to-back league wins, I'm gonna be really, really upset with that. That's not great. We win the Europa League, but still have never put together 2 wins on the bounce in the league this season. That's just embarrassing. Like, how embarrassing can that be? And he said, I hope the rumors that we were linked with him are true, dude. I hope so too. The kid is absolute class. So speaking of kids, speaking of potential class, why don't we do a scout report? Why don't you guys hit that like for me? I just realized I forgot to bring up my slideshow here, so bear with me while I bring it up on my screen. Not Hackney anymore. Hackney, I went back and forth between Hackney and Yashari. There's not a ton that separates the two of them. I think that Yashari for me just looks more like silky, but Hackney's also got the English experience. He's also got the numbers. His numbers are actually better than Yashari's, but at the same time, like the more I watch Yashari, he just looks so much better. I can't get on that. So yeah, Jay, to answer your question, I could literally, like, you guys know when I did my summer rebuild, I put polls out for you guys to answer. I changed it so many times between when I started that stream, that project, and then did the stream. And I ended up just going with Yashari just because there's just something about Yashari when you watch him play that it's hard to put into words, but he just looks like his movement, just the way he carries himself. He looks like a deep lying version of like Eden Hazard. Just the way he moves it's brilliant to watch. Robert says, play some kids, let them see who's ready. The fast tracks a rebuild. Yeah, I'd like to see some more kids. We saw Amas on the bench. I'd love to see Seko Kone getting more involved as well in the future. So Danny says, Yashari all day for me. Yeah, the guy's going to be cheaper. I don't know, probably not cheaper than Hackney, but in terms of like your deep lying playmakers for that pivot, I think he's definitely one of the cheaper options. Recap says, you are right, Ree. We need to see these young lads. We have some beasts in there. Yeah, I mean, frick. I bet Musa could have come on this morning and scored a couple goals. Gosh, the dude scored 2 hat tricks on his own yesterday. So why don't we jump into a scout report? And I put out a little sneak peek yesterday because I was watching Bristol City play Watford, and I said to get a sneak peek of who I'm going to be covering this week, go watch that match. Now, Watford did end up losing, so the player we're going to be talking about, he's a Watford player, but they did end up losing, and not a whole lot of Watford's buildup went along his side. But this is Rocco Vata, young Irish attacker, just joined Watford from Celtic this summer, signed a 4-year deal. Plays on the wing, primarily on the left wing, but he can play on the right. He's just 19 years old. But his numbers and his just the way he plays, if you watch any of Watford this season, or even if you watched him at Celtic last season, like he's very, very, very good. He reminds me of like take Garnacho like on his best day and add just a little bit more of just like energy and like physicality, and that's what you get. This guy's dribbling is amazing. His long shots are a thing of beauty. He's press resistant. He holds on to the ball. He's got explosive acceleration when he does receive the ball. A quick drop of the shoulder, turns and makes space for himself, and then he's gone. He can carry the ball. He can pass the ball. And he presses. He does a lot of off-the-ball work as well. His tackles are in the top 25% for wingers. Interceptions, top 17%. Blocks, clearances, excellent. His take-ons, top 20%. And he gets into good positions. His touches in the attacking penalty area are in the top 12%. He's very, very good. Made his debut as like a 17-year-old, I think, for Celtic. Very, very young. But he's just good at getting the ball up the pitch, putting balls into the box, and getting involved, creating chances. Very, very good in the channels. Very good and comfortable on the ball in those tight areas. He has the space. He has the footwork to create space for himself. And then, like I said, all he needs is one touch to get the ball out of his feet, and he'll let loose a shot. And usually they're on target. Go look up his goal against Fulham in the FA Cup from earlier this season, and you'll see what I'm talking about. The kid is an absolute beater when it comes to those. Just 4 goals and 3 assists in all comps this season, but I like this kid a lot. I can't wait to see how he does with another season of English football under his belt. Tom Cleverley is managing Watford right now, and they're doing pretty decently. Obviously, they lost, like I said, but if you can do it in the Championship, like I've said many times, odds are you can hang in the Premier League. You may not necessarily be at like a level of like United or something, but it doesn't mean you can't hang. So, but I like this kid a lot. Irish youngster, just joined Watford. We'll see. He's only got, just a little under a season of English football under his belt. I'd like to see what he does with more. But I like him a lot. I think he's got a lot of promise. So go check him out sometime. Like I said, go look up his goal against Fulham in the FA Cup to see what I'm talking about with those long-range shots, because the guy's got a rocket on him. Rob says, Ethan Ampadu is the one I want. Seen him since his Welsh debut. I remember Ampadu, wasn't he at Leeds for a bit or something? I feel like I've seen him kind of jump around all over the place for the last like 5-6 years, right? He had long dreads, and then he shaved it, or he cut it, and then I feel like he's got long hair now again. I don't remember now. Welsh though, right? Yeah, he's Welsh. Then he says, watched him once for Celtic a while back, but other than that, I haven't seen him yet. He kind of went under the radar and like said joined Watford this summer. It's very, very, very good. Rob says he's Leeds captain. Yeah, I can't remember. I feel like he's jumped around in a couple Premier League clubs. I feel like he was playing in another league, like somewhere else in Europe, not that long ago either. Ampadu, I don't remember. I have watched a couple of Wales international games during like Euros and stuff where I've seen him play, but I guess I don't watch a whole ton of international football. So, but yeah, Ampadu, I haven't looked at him recently. Maybe it's worth looking in and see how he's doing. But yeah, good call, man. So let's move on to this match, because if I don't start talking more and start reliving. Hopefully, we don't all fall asleep reliving this match because it was super, super boring at times. But so starting with starting 11, there were some early reports that came out this morning that, and some potential leaks that said that Kukonki was in the squad, and then leaks that said Luke Shaw could be in the squad. Now those leaks turned out to be true because both were on the bench. Neither saw any action, and I doubt that Amorim is in a hurry to rush Shaw back into action right now. But interesting to see Kukonki back in the matchday squad. Amos, like I said, is back in the squad. Maguire took Delit's place because I think Delit's got an injury, is what Amorim said. Maguire ended up going off again around the hour mark. I think we're still just managing his minutes after he came back from that injury not that long ago. So I think it's more just about cotton wool for some of these players right now. While we do have other injuries, we don't want to overdo it. So I was surprised that Maguire went off. I'm surprised we didn't just throw him in the box and lump balls into the box for him, but it is what it is. But yeah, Sanzagor managing minutes, and the same goes for Mainu. After the match, Amorim was asked about that, and he said Mainu's back training with the team. He could be back for the next match, I think, on Thursday. But it's just about managing minutes right now for these players. Don't want to overdo it. So Rob says Anthony is defensive mid who can do center back. Good utility player for you. Yeah, maybe. Robert Reed says Shaw got hurt and sitting down. I hope you're just joking. I saw him kind of stretching and stuff. So it's just one of those things. It's like when do you risk it? Because as soon as Shaw comes back in, he's probably going to get injured. So when do you risk that? We're not ever going to be in a situation this season where we can afford to take those unless we literally beat Lyon like 5-0 in this first leg. There's no way you can take any risk. You have to just play a strong team week in, week out. I guess unless you're safe on like the last match day of the season, then you can just play all the kids. But it's still at the end of the day. Rob says Shaw will have to be left center back rather than left wing back. Shaw just back because a final might be on the horizon. Yeah, we've talked about that a couple times. He's literally just his only position he can play now is left center back. He's not going to be able to be a wing back. It just is what it is. Now he can, even as a center back though. I mean, you're more than entitled when the opportunity is there to carry the ball out from the box, to drive it up the pitch if you need to. We've seen that happen a lot. There's nothing against that, and Shaw's actually very good at that on his day. But he's definitely not going to be doing the up and down for 90 minutes. You will die. Danny says, did he play at Chelsea? Yeah, I feel like that's where I've seen him play before, is Chelsea. I remember him in like a blue shirt at some point. I think he did come through Chelsea, now that I think about it. Or it could have been Cardiff. I can't remember now. Oh, on the whole, I thought, again, we were definitely the better side up until around the 65th minute or so, when a certain Jeremy Doku came on. He just caused us all sorts of problems. Overall, I think we set up a little bit like I said we needed to. We needed to make ourselves difficult to break down at the back, try to hit them on a quick transition, which is exactly what we did, was what we needed to do. I did like that we added another layer of the 10s and the pivot pressing in that midfield area. We had a little bit of a 5 at the back, but we also were doing like a bit of a midfield block, and we were very aggressive in that press in that midfield area, and it caused City problems. We were constantly surrounding whoever had the ball. We would usually win it, and then we would get on the transition, and we looked very good. We had a higher XG. We had 13 shots, but only 2 of them were on target. Doku definitely caused us problems, though. Like I said, he changed things for City in that late. He immediately put Dallo and Mazraoui on the back foot. They were kind of in a groove and for that majority of that match, and then Doku came on and just completely shifted things. And Mazraoui does struggle against those kind of wingers, and so does Dallo. Those tricky, explosive, pacey wingers who can very easily beat them. They both struggle there. So it is what it is there. It's not something I'm going to demand that Mazraoui just like night and day difference. Like we know that he's going to struggle there. It is what it is. I did find it odd how high up the field De Bruyne was playing. He was kind of like a 10, kind of like a false 9. He was making a lot of the runs. He was pressing Onana a lot. Which was odd to me, because usually he's the creator. So if he wins the ball, or if he's in those positions, who's going to find him, or who's he going to supply when he's the only one up there? So, what are you guys saying here? Recap says, who noticed that amorim's system has started working? It's press proof and it opens up teams. We just need to be clinical with our counters and finishing creativity. Yeah, the finishing, the lack of goals is what's killing us right now. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But yeah, I'm just running through the stats right now and a little bit of the performances. Robert says, totally agree. Seems to make City look vulnerable. And that's exactly what we said, guys, in the preview. Remember, this is how you have to play against City. And Amorim kind of said the same thing as well after the match. He said sometimes you're going to have to play a different way against different teams. And he doesn't always like it, but he understands it. And I'm glad to hear him say that, because there's a lot of people will go in on him and say you're abandoning your principles. We're not, because you saw a little bit of the transition, which honestly is part of Amorim's plan. Is transition. It's not just sit deep and counter, but there was that mid block. We were pressing a lot. We were making it difficult for City to play, and we were exploiting that. I wish we would have capitalized on those opportunities more, but again, it works when it works, right? Robert Reed says Beetlejuice had a decent game for City. KTP, who's Beetlejuice? Who's Beetlejuice? Am I missing something? Who's Beetlejuice? Danny says, where's he playing now, Rob? Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, Rob, you're gonna have to let me know who Beetlejuice is. I have no idea who that is. As far as our players, I thought Dorgu had a rough match. He's been struggling recently. His final ball is just garbage. To his credit, everyone's final ball was garbage today, but his in general, like in the Forest match, was more of it too. His crosses just never find their target. They're like, even the one ball he got in a good position and put it in, it was behind everybody. It's just super frustrating. He has the energy for sure. He definitely has the fight. He's got the pace. He's got the strength, but he just needs to polish his on the ball work, Dorgu, especially that crossing, because if you're going to be playing in that position, your cross has got to be better. You've got to his problem is he's waiting too late to put a ball in. He needs to put those balls in earlier. He needs to fine tune that left foot and put it in around, instead of waiting to get high and then trying to put it back. Got to put it around when we're running into space. And that's the problem. Casemiro was immense. We're going to talk more about him later. I thought Dallo had another good game. Aside from a couple poor decisions, like the one frustrating thing, and this is the kind of stuff I have to point out when people go in on Højlund, because Højlund didn't really get involved other than like some link up play early on on the counterattacks. But so we had a chance where Højlund's in the box. He's in nothing but space, and Dallo has the ball literally in City's box. And all he had to do is just find Højlund. All he had to do was play a square ball. And instead he stops, he takes a touch, and then he passes it back to Bruno. So I don't know if that's he doesn't like Højlund thing, or if that's like he's only confident in Bruno being able to score right now thing. But Højlund was there. Højlund was in the position to score, and Dallas should have found him. It's stuff like that. I'm like, we're just the decision, and that's what we're going to get into soon. It's not just the shot. Sometimes it's that decision. It's the pass. That's just everything that's happening in that final phase of attack right now is just not clicking unless Bruno is the one doing it. But Bruno today was back to his best. I thought he completed the most dribbles, created the most chances, had 5 out of 5 long balls. He was winning his duels. Again, though, his crosses just weren't finding their target, but I don't think that's ever going to get too much better, because it hasn't in months. Mazraoui, I thought, quietly had a really good game. That late challenge to deny Foden early in the second half was everything. That was such a perfect challenge from him. But I thought he was good. He was stepping up at the right times to make some challenges, win the ball, and then when he did win, he was like, there was a time where he won it, held it a little too long, and was dispossessed outside of our box. But then he kept fighting and won the ball back, and then found a teammate, and the counter was on. Like, that's the kind of thing I like to see from Mazraoui. So I thought we had a really, really good game. Maguire had a good game. Euro, I thought, was excellent. He still needs to work on defending long balls in the channels, because he still doesn't do enough, I think, to just take care of it. It's like he lets it bounce too much. There was an instance where that happened today where he got a yellow because he didn't take care of it. And I think he and I want to say it was Marmoush were kind of got into a bit of a wrestling match, and he picked up a yellow for it. But he's still like he looks like a future class defender, Euro. He just does his thing. He does it well. It's just the stuff that he's got to improve on is stuff that you think he's going to naturally improve on as he gets older. He's still just a teenager, so some of this stuff's just going to come from years of experience, just knowing when to do things. Same with strikers, like young attackers. Some of it, like movement in the box, you're not going to see elite level movement in the box from young strikers because they just don't have that bank of experience to go on. They're going to learn that kind of stuff, if that makes sense. I thought Onana had an excellent match too. 6 saves, including that free kick and then that absolute screamer from Marmoush. Was that Marmoush or was it Gundogan? I think it was Marmoush. So he actually had a good game, Onana, so we got to give credit where it's due, right? Let me get caught up on this chat. What is happening? Oh, so apparently Doku was Beetlejuice. That's literally the first time I've heard anybody say that. So that's interesting. Why is he Beetlejuice? Someone let me know why they call him that. Robert says a son called Doku Beetlejuice from the Howard. I don't even know what that is. I'm gonna have to look that up later. Maybe I don't want to. Danny says Cass was solid again. Yeah, I thought. We're gonna talk about Casemiro. Casemiro gets his own little segment today. Kai says the same thing. Robert says, did anyone else think that should have been a pen at the beginning of the game? They didn't show too many replays of it. And you know what? The whole thing is where does the contact initiate? Contact, to me in real time, it looked like contact initiated outside of the box and then kind of continued into the box. But of course, they didn't show that many replays, so it's hard to see. But I thought Bruno probably could have done a little better considering some of the free kicks he scored this season already. But it is what it is. But yeah, I'll have to look at it again because they didn't really show too many replays, unfortunately. Robert says it was 50-50, and I think that ref was solid, let him play as much as possible, yellowed Silva after multiple warnings. Yeah, Silva was doing my head in. He's turning into a little bitch, man, Silva. He's getting a little grumpy. He's getting a little chippy. He's pushing people. I liked Silva when he was at Monaco. I thought he's been, because people forget, Silva was a right winger at Monaco. And Pep has turned him into like this number 8. But now that he's getting a little older and he's not able to hang as much physically and pace-wise, he's resorting to a lot of these chippy little fouls. And I really thought he should have seen a yellow earlier. The ref came to him after like the second cynical challenge and kind of told him like, no, this is your last warning. But I really think that should have been a yellow personally. But then he says, no, he was fouled twice. I think ref just played advantage. Yeah. Rob says second card for Diaz later on. I don't. You have to remind me of that incident. Recap says, at United, why is it so important for these forward players to shoot rather than pass or cross? Being a striker, United is tough. I've said it many times. We just playing. I mean, Ronaldo complained about it when he was here under Ollie, and Rashford and Greenwood weren't able to find him. We've seen how many times Garnacho opts to take stupid shots rather than put a ball in the box, get his head up. Like again, nothing ever clicks at the same time. So Højlund or whoever is playing striker can make a couple runs and not get found, and then the next play, the winger or the fullback will actually put the right ball in, but because the first couple times it wasn't happening, now the strikers made a different run, and nothing's clicking at the same time right now. We saw this a couple times from Højlund tonight. Many instances that he was making a run and nobody was finding him, or they were playing it cut back short behind him. And then the one time where he didn't make a run, where he should have made a run, the ball was flashed and nobody was there. And it's like, we're not quite on the same page right now. And it's really frustrating to watch because you wonder, like you almost can't wait to see it click, because when it clicks, it's going to work really, really well. It's getting closer and closer. Robert says, yeah, even your yellow was a smart yellow. I don't have a problem with the yellow. It's the reason why he had to get it in the first place is because he just doesn't do well taking care of those balls over the top. I think it's okay to just put it out of touch or put it into touch and then just deal with the throw in. Like, it's not a big deal. And I think he just has to learn that. So big up, Neil. How are you, my friend? United just score goals. Yeah, I would love it if we could score some goals. Rob says, I was in work, so only seen 3-minute highlights. Yeah, you have to watch it again and watch the match back and see it in real time, because some of the stuff that City were getting away with was frustrating, but then again, it's like, do you want fouls to get called when you think they should, or do you want the ref to just play on? I love to get back to like the way things could be, like the Tarkowski challenge from last week or something. Everybody's going in on that, and I'm like, that he wins the ball. I don't care if he's sliding in, he wins the ball. So if the only way you can win the ball is a slide in and he does it, then I don't understand the problem. But yeah, Agile Bees, welcome back. Yep, throwing out some Casemiro numbers. Yeah, we're gonna go over that here in a second. Just getting ready to start my 3 thoughts, but good to see you again, my friend. Yeah, 11 tackles, ground duels. Yeah, he was immense. Neil says no pen. Yeah, I think based on contact, where the contact took place, probably wasn't a pen, but it was a really good early opportunity in that play itself. You saw some really good one-touch link-up play from Hoyland to find Garnacho to get that play going. Like Hoyland can do that kind of stuff. We weren't playing to that side of him for so long. So Agile says Attackers United have signed since summer 2020. Cavani, Ronaldo, Sancho, Anthony, Hoyland, Mount, Xerxes, all have either not performed or left the club. Yeah. It is a struggle these days. So, all right, let me jump into my thoughts here, you guys. Keep yours coming in. Let me know who you thought your man of the match was as we're going along. Members, you do have access to that man of the match emoji, so let me know. But starting with number 1, I mean, pretty obvious, but final ball falters today. More often than not, when you have a discussion about the final ball, right? People tend to jump straight onto the strikers. You look at a score line and you're like, oh, we didn't score. Well, people will say, well, that just means the strikers didn't have a good game. Well, that's not always the case. You have to actually watch the game. But more often than not right now for United, when I say the final ball, it's really the final decision, the final pass, the final cross, the cutback, the touch, 1-2 touch too many, 1 fewer touch when you needed to. It's just that final little piece, that final link in the chain that is just letting us down right now. 4 crosses completed on the night out of like 16 or 17 is just not good enough. And again, like I said, Dorgu, again, not great. Completed no crosses. 2 shots from him, neither of which were on target. He's got to do better. And of course, I'm going to give him time, of course, because he's new, he's young. It is what it is. But all I can do is comment on what I see in a given match. And these last 2 performances from Dorgu specifically have just not been good. Chance creation, just not good from anyone tonight. And then when you go on to the actual finishing, it wasn't any better. 13 shots, like I said, 2 on target. It's just not great, especially when 8 of our shots were from inside the box. Most of those ended up just being wide or skied. It's just not good enough. When you get 13 shots off, 8 of which were inside the box and only 2 are on target, you have to do better. But again, it's not strikers, it's everybody. Whoever is taking the shots, they're all just garbage right now. And we can't just rely only on Bruno. I'm tired of saying that. Everyone's got to step up in that regard. And Amorim said the same thing pretty much after the match. I'll show you what he had to say. He said, we create some chances, and then I think we have always the same problem. It's the lack of goals. We should have had at least 1 goal. That's something we need to change. I mean, it's just, we can all see it. It's just, how do you solve that problem? It's not a game. I can't just press the button and hit like finesse shot or something and make Garnacho get it on target. I can't make Dorgu's cross better. I can't make Dallo have a better decision. I can't make Hoyland just have a little better touch in some of those key moments. I can't just make them do that. So the question is it simply just buy better players, or is it find a way to unlock these players on the training pitch or with some coaching or whatever it is? I don't know. You can't just keep throwing money at something and thinking it's going to solve the problem, because it hasn't. It hasn't for years. So I don't know what throwing more money at it's going to do. But let me see what else is going on. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Rob says, yes. Facebook, share the stream. Yes, appreciate that, Rob. Big up. Agile says, did Hoyland jump for a header once, neither in the center circle or for that chance that Casemiro headed back across the 6-yard box? Yeah, Hoyland's timing on trying to win those long balls is just not great, but that's something that's also going to come with experience. He's going to have to learn that it's not always just about jumping higher than the other guy. Sometimes it's about timing your jump. Sometimes, like you see from Licha, there's a reason Licha wins a lot of headers in a lot of aerial duels. It's not because he's the tallest guy and he can jump higher. It's because he knows about timing and he knows how to throw the other player off with just a little bit of a nudge, or just a little bit of an arm that kind of keeps them from jumping their full height. Licha is very good at that. But Licha is also 27 years old. Hoyland just turned 22 like a month ago. There's a difference there. I'm not trying to keep using youth as an excuse. I'm just saying there are some aspects to being a footballer, some areas of your game that will only see marked improvement as you continue to play. Some people are naturally good at certain things, but some things do come from just playing for a while. That's just the way the game is. Um, Danny says the same last 3 seasons, a good Rashford run in time that saved us. Yeah. Yeah. Recap says we need to find a way to make things work with what we have. No more a lot of new players. We do need players in key positions, especially because we have a new system. We have a system. We only have one striker right now. Xerxes is not a striker, and the striker we have really shouldn't be our main number 9. He's just too young. We need more depth in other positions because Garnacho really shouldn't be starting week in, week out. If we're all being honest, we probably need more midfielders. We're losing a lot of players. So yes, we do need players. We do need to improve the floor, the quality of the squad. But at the same time, that's not to say that it's just going to get better if we just sign a player. Like this, that's the mentality that we've had for far too long at this club. Like, let's just get this manager, that'll fix it. Let's just get this Pogba, that'll fix it. Let's get Ronaldo back, that'll fix it. That's the mentality we have to move away from. Like I've said many times on the channel, we need to build, not buy. We've been buying for too long and not building. We need to build. And that starts with the foundations, but we have to get rid of the rotten stuff. And that sounds mean when I say it that way, but we have to trim the fat, and that's just all there is to it. Then he says Højlund was disappointed with him again today. Yeah, he's up and down. Again, I do put a lot of the blame on some of this on the international break because everybody was poor against Forest. And it sucks because there are so many of our players that looked really good going into that break. And then it just threw off everyone's momentum. And it's very, very frustrating. And then Højlund didn't start the last game, which is frustrating as well. Then he says, low block transition FC, but we don't have a finisher anymore, so we're getting worse. Rashford on the end of some of those chances we had today, like that Garnacho had on some of these counters, maybe that would have gone differently. I don't know. It's anyone's guess. Anybody but maybe Dorgu on some of the end of those shots. Anybody else but like Ugarte on the end of that ball in from Dallo or something. Who's to say what would have happened? But this is who we have, so it is what it is. How many times is Ugarte in that situation? So if he's only has that same exact chance like one time, I don't expect him to hit it perfectly right away, but it is a little frustrating to watch. Especially Garnacho and Højlund while we're talking about this, because they are young. And I saw someone else talk about this earlier. I can't remember who it was. But I feel like when they play together, it just something about it doesn't work. Højlund and Garnacho, like they almost both are very similar, and they both don't really click with each other very well in some areas. So I almost feel like they don't work together. Kind of like when you play like Bruno and Eriksen in a pivot or something, it just doesn't work. But again, when you have young attackers who are constantly up and down, and when all your young attackers are in that down portion, where do the goals come from? We had chances though. 20 minutes in, Dallo puts an excellent ball into the box. Garnacho ruins it. Bruno had another one, took one touch too many to find a teammate and lost possession on the counterattack. And we just had more opportunities. It reminded me a lot of Ten Hag ball, where we get into good positions around the box and nobody wants to take a shot. Everyone's holding onto the ball too long. Everyone's holding it, and then City close, and someone just take a shot. Someone just take a shot. We need a chance creator. We need a finisher. We need just to work on that as well on the training pitch, maybe some one-on-one coaching. So either way, this flaccid play in the final phase has to improve, or we're gonna struggle the same next season. The goals just need to get better. I read on OptaJoe before I went live that a stat that said, since Ruben Amorim's first game in charge of United, only Leicester have failed to score in more Premier League games than United. So since Amorim came in November, we have literally been the second worst team in terms of scoring goals in the Premier League. It's not good enough. We got to figure out a way to do that. So let me jump on in. Wow, I really got to catch up here. Rob said, this has been Amorim's preseason to get this system in place. The actual preseason depends on how quick the club gets players in. It's a true story, man. we can, I mean, you guys saw the other day when I talked about that, all the Premier League clubs have voted to start the transfer window earlier, starting in June, and then it's going to go for like a week or so, and then it's going to stop for a week, and then it's going to pick back up. It basically goes from June until September now, so because of the Club World Cup. So hopefully we know what we're doing. Hopefully we have a plan. Hopefully we get Arden Yashari in. Let me see. Um, Agile says we need to find a 10 million gem from the Czech league or Uruguayan league under the radar. Oh, someone mentioned South American. Danny, let us know. Find us in a good number 10. Recap says this system also requires players that are fast and physical, a lot of ground to cover. Older guys have to go. You know who's fast and physical and covers a lot of ground? Arden Yashari. Just saying. Dylan in the house, chilling with Dylan. Big up, man. Hope you are doing well, my guy. I need to get you these tables, man. Maybe we can hook that up tomorrow sometime. Yeah, we need to get you some tables. But big up, Dylan. Good to see you, my friend. Rob wants to know if Chelsea had been banned from transfers. I don't know what that means. Has something happened that I've missed out on? I don't pay close attention to a lot of what happens at Chelsea because I just kind of like City. They're just doing whatever they want, and they're just giving a couple of middle fingers to the rest of the league at this point. But what happened there? Danny says they should be robbed for 2 seasons, but I didn't hear anything. Interesting. How many Chelsea have been punished a few times in the last like 6, 7, 8 years, right? Weren't they banished from doing transfers for a while back? As it says, Bendito, Montato, Bianchiri, Scanlon would like to see them given a game before the end of the season. Yeah, I'd like to see Kone get involved as well. Camison, I'd love to see Camison come on, maybe for Dallo. One of these Dallo plays like every minute because we don't have anybody else who can play that position. Maybe Mazraoui, but Mazraoui's got to play center back because everyone's injured. So it's hard, man. Danny says, if we don't get Nippon in June, I don't think we get him anymore. Yeah, this is the chance to get him. And it's a free hit for us, right? This is a tap in. He's a United fan. He's cheap. He plays in the position that we need. He can be a little versatile as well. He can do the Bruno thing in the pivot. He can do the 10 thing as well. It's a free hit. And I think if we miss that out, I mean, you can get Nippon and Cherki for like 35, 40 million tops. And you'll be sitting pretty for that position for a while. Agile says Chelsea FFP violation. Yeah, I don't even know. I'll have to look that up. I'm not aware of anything going on with Chelsea at the moment. Agile says Maz and Dallo did good today, but yeah, we were burning them out. Yeah, they play literally every single game. And you can get away with it because Mazraoui is class, but he's going to get tired. He's still a human being. So, but yeah, final ball needs to get better, whether that's the shooting, whether that's the creation, whether that's the crosses, the cutback, the touches, 2 touches too many, 2 touches too few, whatever that needs, like the decision, like Dallo cutting it back to Bruno instead of playing in 1 touch to find Højlund, those kind of things. It's that final chain, the final link in the chain that needs to click, and it's just not clicking right now. But let's move on to my number 2 here. Nothing mid about that mid block today. So we didn't see it as deep as we kind of were in those matches heading into the international break, but we were happy to kind of sit in a 5, but it was really the midfield that was doing the bulk of that dirty work when it came to winning back the ball, starting that phase of attack. The 5 were kind of there as protection, but the midfield is what did all the work. It was the Casemiros, the Ugartes, the Brunos, even the Garnachos, and the Højlunds who were dropping deep and really winning that ball back right around the midfield line and just starting those attacks. And I have no problem with that. And what I really liked too was I saw that there was some freedom and trust given to the defenders to step in when necessary. How many times did we see Euro step in, or Mazraoui come all the way up almost in the midfield to make a challenge to win a ball when the opportunity? I like that trust, and I like that freedom and that discernment from these players to do that as well, because it worked. We had 15 interceptions on the night, 55% of the duels on the night. We were doing a really good job. On the attack, even when we won the ball and then we launched the attack, we looked very good in the build-up too. That midfield was the key area for us today. And then I thought we had really good link-up play to start those attacks. Højlund, Garnacho, they were linking up in midfield. It was just that final phase where things seemed to fall apart. But and then we nearly got an early pen as a result from that exact situation to start the game. I thought that set the tone for the way we were playing. I thought that set the tone for the game. I thought that really had City really on the back foot. City were ponderous, I guess is the better word. They were not trying to get involved in that battle. They were trying to maybe draw us out a little bit, but we were happy to sit back, and I had no problem with that. I thought we were also very, very good when it came to getting back in numbers when we did lose the ball. We learned from the Forest match, like, can't get caught that high up the pitch. But whenever City countered, we had all three defenders back in numbers. We were quick to do that, which is exactly what Amorim wanted. We saw that from the first footage from training when he first got here. Blow the whistle randomly when you lose the ball. Everybody get back in numbers. And we did that very well today, I thought. I thought we were very mindful of our job. Everybody knew their assignment, and everybody got it done. What are you guys saying? Agile B says, any news on Nippon? I think he'd be a good replacement for Eriksson. I think so too. The only news we talked about, right, was that Rosenborg's season was up in December, and he had just turned 18 at that time. So during the off season, he was traveling around, meeting with clubs. He met with Arsenal, he met with City. And he decided to go back to Rosenborg until the summer. So we'll see what happens. I think, again, that's a free hit for us. I don't think there's any reason not to. I think he's been playing first team football for Rosenborg since he was 15. He had 8 goals, 8 assists last season. Like, the guy is absolutely a future world beater. Danny says, we changed the high press in the second half, worked well. Yeah, when Xerxes got on there, he started pressing a lot because Xerxes can win the ball in almost any area of the pitch and hold on to it. Højlund is definitely the guy who's going to get on the end of stuff, whether that's over a long ball or something in the box. That's Højlund's job. Højlund's not going to be that false nine who's going to drop it. And Xerxes was happy to get on and run. And that's how you use those substitutions well. We did switch up a little bit towards the second half as well. So Rob says, according to the Times, UEFA are going to fine and ban Chelsea. Great news for United, as they're always linked to players we want. Oh, I have to look into that when I'm done here, because that's going to be great. Can you imagine City and Chelsea getting just bent over for FFP? That would be hilarious. Agile says, the press hype the field was disjointed at times. I remember City played it down the right, switched it to the left, where Riley was in acres of space and could drive it forward. Yeah, I think Dalot did pretty decently against Riley. Riley's been in good form, though. And I said going into this that we're going to have to look out for him and like McAteer if he plays. But Riley just came off the back of scoring a couple in their last match too. But we know that Dalot's not great in 1v1s, though. Agile says, I'm glad the Ten Hag batterings have stopped against bigger teams. Ziad, how are you? Good to see a new face. What's the news on the Bucks? Who's Joel getting to fund their stadium renovation? Well, the NFL makes a lot of money. Even if you go to like a preseason friendly between like United and like Crystal Palace or something, because it's in the States, it'll still cost you like $100-$150 to go. NFL makes a lot of money. They make a ton. So a lot of that money is going to come from just revenue from, ads and using the stadium merchandise, all that stuff, ticket sales. I think some of it probably comes from investors and whatnot. But yeah, they are. We did talk about that in the day. They're going to be renovating Raymond James Stadium a little bit. So I know there's a lot of speculation, where's that money coming from? Is it just straight up scraping off the top from United revenue? The NFL makes a lot of money, so they use that stadium for a lot of things. So we'll see. Obviously, we might not never know where that money's coming from, but Danny says, I'm hoping Nippon is waiting for us. I hope so too, man. I hope a lot. I hope we get Yashari. I hope we get Nippon. I hope we get like Jonathan David or Gyökeres. I hope we get Cherky. I hope we get Bashali. I hope we get all sorts of these players, man. Ziad said, do the Bucks fans like the Glazers? I don't know. Are there any Bucks fans in the chat? I couldn't tell you, honestly. I don't know any Bucks fans, but I think NFL fans they just want to watch football. I think as long as they don't get taxed for it and it doesn't come out of the taxpayers, I don't think they really care. I honestly don't even know if any Bucks fans could pick a Glazer out of the lineup. I mean, if you lined up a bunch of naked mole rats together and put Avram in the middle of them, I don't think you'd be able to pick him out. But it is what it is. Agile says, Rosenborg 2025 season is up and running. Oh, did it start again already? Good deal. So yeah, I thought the mid-block and the press later on did really, really well. I thought we played very well in that midfield. We made it really difficult for City to get through the midfield. And then starting the transition, starting those counterattacks, I thought I saw a lot of really good link-up play, really good one-touch pass. Again, it's just that final ball. So let me move into my third point here, because I told you guys we are going to be focusing on this guy and his own little thing. But number 3, and Ziad kind of leads into it, Casemiro. It's been a while since I've said that. It's been a while since we've seen a performance like that from Casemiro. I'm not at all, this isn't me saying we need to give him a new contract or anything like that, but we have to give Casemiro his flowers today because he was absolutely immense for us. He won the most duels. He won the most tackles. I saw a post from Opta today that Casemiro made 11 tackles, which is actually the joint most by a Manchester United player on record from, I think, like the 06-07 season is what the last time that happened. And that was Hargreaves and then Patrice Evra in 2008. The guy was absolute freaking force of nature. Ziad says, you see Casemiro won those tackles. Rubes is getting the best out of him. Ten Hag had him running through like Bonnie Blue fraudulently. Yeah, very different way we're using him right now. Ten Hag kind of let him play a little higher up the pitch. When you're sitting deep, when you're setting up a block and you have Casemiro back there to basically just kind of win the ball and then launch it forward, that's his wheelhouse. When you're asking Casemiro to do a lot of running, he's not going to work out. And maybe that's why he and Ugarte can work well. Now, Ugarte's they are a good foil for each other. Ideally, you'd want a player who can do both, who can put in a shift physically off the ball, but then can also pick a pass and is press resistant and can progress the ball. It's very rare you're going to find a player who can do all of that. So that's why you play the pivot and you have two players that complement each other. The same way you have a good center back partnership, right? Yashari, just saying. But but yeah, Ugarte today, his on the ball qualities were definitely lacking, but he did put in a shift off the ball. He's not had the great last couple matches, Ugarte, but Casemiro was an absolute force. Rob says, what channel is the NFL on? Same channel. I honestly couldn't tell you. I haven't watched the NFL in like 10 years, man. I think it's on like Fox or something, or maybe like CBS. I really couldn't tell you. I think the NFL has its own app, like streaming app. I think you can watch NFL games on there if you want to pay money, but I don't know, man. Edjo says, Hoyland runs in straight lines. Xerxes press is much better, but curves his runs to shadow press. Yeah. Xerxes is also older, so we want to remember that. But yeah, Hoyland's definitely got a lot of improvement to do. Ziad says, I remember a couple of years ago, Bucks fans thought the Glazers were prioritizing United. Oh, Bucks fans. They're stupid. They don't know what they're talking about. Let me guess, was that Tim Howard saying the same thing too? Gosh, Tim Howard lost a couple of cool points for me when he made those comments the other week. Danny says, probably our best player today. Yeah, Casemiro. So again, won the most duels, most tackles, most tackles in a match. The joint most, I think, since like 06-07. 2 interceptions as well, made 4 passes into the final third, Casemiro. And aside from the stats, I mean, stats aside, just watching him play today, you saw him, he was involved in everything. He was getting stuck in, he was winning things, he was passing, he was just involved in everything, and he was just up for it. And he was even he was even kind of berating himself when he would make a challenge and he wasn't able to like keep the ball, but it hoofed high back in towards City's defense. He was mad at himself for not being able to maintain possession. And I'm like, bro, you did exactly what I need you to do in that situation. Yeah, cool. If you want to say I want to win it and keep it and launch attack, that's awesome. But I'm just happy you stopped them from getting the ball up the pitch, dude. So, but he was excellent today. So this was like prime vintage Casemiro right now. This was like finding an old bottle of Cab Sav in your wine cellar that you forgot you had and busting it open. And you're like, yes, this is exactly what I needed today. Stepping in to make those challenges, winning the ball, covered a lot of ground. I mean, he seems to have City's number, Casemiro. He tends to do really well against City. Even when he was at Madrid in the Champions League, he had, like this season before he joined United, Madrid played City in the Champions League, and he was an absolute force of nature in that match. I've always loved Casemiro. I wish we could have gotten him like 5 years earlier. I think he would have been exactly what we needed, but alas and alack, like I said, you got to give him his flowers. He was excellent on the day. Like Danny says, probably our best player. Agile says, yeah, taxpayers. pay for the NFL stadiums and subsidize the closed shop billionaire owners. Yeah, we did a stream on that a while back when the rumors of a 100K seat stadium first came out. It's a very old show. I think it was from like the summer. You guys can go back and watch that. We talked a little philosophy, a little economy, all that kind of stuff. Broke down the facts and the myths when it comes to new stadium builds and how much it could benefit the local economy versus how much they want to tell you it benefits the local economy. So go check that video out as well. Ziad is tired of Garnacho, though honestly he just lacks intelligence in the final third. Yeah, his decision making in the final third, he was a little more selfless today. He was trying to find Dorgu. He was trying. It's just you can tell it's just not what he wants to do. And when it's not something you like to do, and it's not something that you've really spent a whole lot of time honing, it looks forced sometimes. And so he has a choice, and we've said that from the get-go when Amorim came in, and we realized that Garnacho wasn't going to be able to play his preferred kind of get some chalk on your boots kind of wing play. He's going to have a choice, adjust to this system and figure out a way to develop within those boundaries, or he's going to have to try to go someplace else. But at least he's trying. He's got to do better. He's running out of time for me personally to kind of solidify my opinion that he can be a starter. I still don't think he's a starter. He's still very young and he still has he's still raw in so many ways. But same with Højlund. He's still raw. Same with Dorgu. You could argue Dorgu may be a little too young to be starting week in, week out, but you have to do it at some point, right? These players have to like sink or swim. Rob says, I think it's a case of Amorim and Casemiro relate. Erik Ten Hag probably doesn't. Yeah, could be. I mean, Ten Hag didn't really want to just sit and park it and sit Casemiro deep. You have to be able to. Ten Hag's Dutch, so the Dutch, it is total football. You have to be able to do a little bit of everything, and that includes running and getting involved in the attack. Ziad says, I think Ratcliffe would have got the taxpayers' money for United Stadium if he could. Let's be honest. Well, I don't know how that works technically in the UK, but we've already been told that it's not going to happen. Ratcliffe has come out and said, no, I'm not. That wasn't never the plan. We can do it. It has to be a part of this whole like area kind of regeneration project. They won't let us do it just as the stadium. We have to do it as part of this other thing. So, Robert says NFL is CBS for AFC and Fox for MFC games. Jeez, I have no idea. I used to watch NFL a lot, probably like 10, 12 years ago. I am a Patriots fan. The reason I can't watch NFL games is just too many commercials. I can't see him run a 3-second play and then go to commercial for 30 seconds and then go back and do it all over again. These games should be an hour and they take 3 hours. I can't hang. Gyökeres says his agent is in London. Apparently he agreed to an Arsenal move. Well, if Arsenal can get Gyökeres, that's exactly the kind of striker they've needed for the last 3 years that they just didn't get. But if he goes to Arsenal, that could be scary for a lot of clubs, but I still think that Arsenal are a couple more players away because they're going to be their fullback situation's not great, and I think that they can probably stand to bring in another body in midfield as well. And they really need to do something with that left wing too, because Trossard's not really a left winger. Martinelli to me is not good enough, so it might just be one big player for Arsenal and that's it. But Agile says Casemiro looks better with his minutes managed. He looks better when he doesn't have to do a whole lot of running, but he had a great game today. Ziad says, yeah, I saw that crazy take from Tim Howard. They're invested a lot of money. At least pretend you know what you're talking about. Yeah. I think the reason it's most disappointing is because it's Tim Howard and he's a former United player and he should know better. He really should. I think that was not a good look for him. I think a lot of United fans saw him say that and they immediately were like, dude, what are you doing? Agile says 11 tackles is a stellar game and didn't get tackled past. I thought it was a really good game from Casemiro. Yeah, honestly, it was his best game I've seen in a while. Danny says on Garnacho, he's regressing, not developing, and yeah, and that's the thing. That's what we said about Garnacho. This is his third season in the first team, and I need to see him improving. And I don't want him to go down that Rashford route or like Dalot, where a lot of the aspects of his game that are crucial to the way we need him to play, they're just not developing. Rashford's decision-making in the final third has not developed in more than 10 years of playing at this level. Dalot's final ball has not been good enough since we signed him, and is never improved. Garnacho is running the risk of going down that same route with his decision making, not getting his head up, trying always to cut in onto his right foot and take a shot. When we started playing him more on the right, you saw something a little more from him because he wasn't able to cut in all the time and shoot from his left. But he's got to do better. Agile says Ten Hag wanted to have a 3-1-6 with Casemiro and left him with so much space to cover, and that kind of burnt him out last season. Yeah, it was a lot from him. We can't have Casemiro running all over the place. But, at the end of the day, give him his flowers. A clean sheet is a clean sheet, I guess. And a draw against City isn't the worst result, I guess. But I think I was still disappointed because we should have won. We had the better chances. We looked the better side. I thought we looked better overall. We did get a point. It did put us back above Spurs. We're still in 13th. Spurs did beat Southampton, and now Southampton are confirmed to be relegated. So you can go grab yourself a Tyler Dibling, go grab yourself a Mateus Fernandes, who I think would be really excellent in this system, or Sulemana maybe if people want a wide winger. You can probably get a discount, fire sale at Southampton, but they do get parachute payments, so I don't feel bad. But and this game today, between the Bruno's chances created, it has put him at the top for chances created in the Premier League this season. So he now has the most chances created in the league. But apparently he's the problem, right? So, and then we can all laugh at Liverpool a little because they got beat by Fulham as well, with Virgil van Dijk personally at fault for Fulham's winner. And hey, Eric Cantona was at the game today. If you guys saw that, that was pretty sick. And who were you guys saying? Ten Hag. You guys are talking about Ten Hag a lot. Did you guys see Ten Hag? There was some footage going around that he was at the Roma-Juventus match. So we know that Juventus sacked Thiago Motta not that long ago. So maybe Ten Hag could be jumping back into the management game. I could see him at Juventus. I think he could do a job at Juventus. So I saw some footage from that. So it was interesting stuff. So. And can I officially put in a request to ban half and half scarves? I saw far too many half and half scarves on television today during this derby, and I think that it's like the combined 11s. Just don't do it. Just don't. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Robert says Osimhen has his agent in London. We have offices there. With the Chelsea and FFP problems, we may have a chance. Yeah, I would prefer Gyökeres to Osimhen personally, but at this point, I just need someone who can score goals. Doesn't even have to be a striker, honestly. Anybody who can score goals right now, I will take. Robert says Garnacho needed a loan. He needed competition. He needed someone else to come in and kind of push him to improve in some of these areas. He was too young to be starting as many matches as he has been the last couple of years, and he still is starting way too many matches. He just needs competition. Agile says the other one, Ugarte's wide shot hit one fan. I saw that. Agile says Dibbling, yes, but no way 100 mil for him. Yeah, we're not paying. No one's paying 100 million for Dibbling. That's ridiculous. 20-25 max. Yeah, I'd take Dibbling. I'd take Mateus Fernandes as well. Remember, I did that video a while back on. It was like 2 or 3 players from each of the teams that I looked like they were certainly going to get relegated. So it was like Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton. So I went through each one and picked a couple players. So yeah, Dibbling was on my list. Mateus Fernandes was on my list. I don't remember who else was on my list. It was like 3 months ago, but go check that one out as well. Agile says Liverpool have been shit for the last 2 months or so. Yeah, they have been in a little bit of a downward spiral. But yeah, they got bodied today. It was pretty hilarious to watch. Danny says competition. He was overplayed. Yeah, he needed competition, Garnacho, the same way that Højlund needs some competition and someone to learn from, the same way that a lot of these players need to be pushed. There's just not been good enough recruitment, and then some of these players, like someone pointed out earlier, just didn't stick around. Guys like Sancho, guys like Anthony, all these guys. Robert says, yeah, the Ugarte nut shot was on the front row fan was epic. Yeah, the guy's face too. He's just it's like watch it in slow-mo. Danny says, I like Matthias, young Bruno. Yeah, Matthias Fernandes, he's a very good young player. Used to be at Sporting, so Amorim will know him a little bit, but I like him. I think he's a runner. He does a lot of work off the ball as well as good ball progressor too. So I think he would suit that number 10 role, one of those 10 roles perfectly. Little different profile of that role than like a Garnacho or something. He's more like a Xerxes in the way he can progress the ball, carry the ball, but he's got a little more pace, a little bit more flair to him. So I don't know. Xerxes got a lot of flair though. Some of the dude only cooks with nutmeg. That's his favorite spice. So in any case, you guys, that is gonna do it for me. I'm gonna wrap it up. Like I said, normally I like to sleep on these, but I got a busy day tomorrow. I'm not gonna have time, so I thought I might as well do it now while I've got the time. Really good to check in with everybody, see how everyone's doing. Thank you guys for stopping by. Please hit that like button for me. Please subscribe to the channel. And I think next time we see each other, hopefully I'll have another piece of merch to show off as I get some samples set in. So keep a lookout for some of that if you guys do want to get hooked up with that once I'm able to put that live. But I'm excited to be able to do that. Yeah, and check out the memberships too if you guys want to learn how you can get more involved in the channel and the content, whether that's the scouting reports, the questions from a boot, the what if episodes. You guys saw the latest episode of What If dropped yesterday, the day before. Ronaldinho. What if we'd signed Ronaldinho instead of Cristiano Ronaldo in 2003? So go check that one out if you guys haven't yet. We've got more of those that I've recorded that will be dropping periodically, so keep a lookout for those as well. But until next time, you guys, take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Rob says, see you guys. Sean, green and gold. Yes, the green and gold shirt will be here sometime this week. So you guys will see what that looks like on camera. And the first one that I had, that red one, it fit perfectly. It turned out great. I am excited. So Rob says, we need to see the paint job and the new Sova. You guys want to see the paint job? Don't get me started on the paint job. When you come to me with 800 swatches and they all look white and you ask me which one I like, I'm just going to look at you like you're sniffing something white because I don't see the difference. It's one of those things, like, I don't care that much about all of that kind of stuff. So I'll do it. I'm just like, pick a color, tell me what to paint, and I'll paint it. Like, give me the paint roller, I'll get it done. Like, I don't need to go. It's like buying a toilet. I don't need to spend 2 hours picking out a toilet. It's a toilet. I don't care. Pick a color, whatever color you want. I'll paint it. We're done. Bada boom. But yeah, maybe I'll let you know. It's a whole new living area. It's new dining room furniture, new couches, new everything. So decided just did a little bit of an upgrade. But yeah, maybe I'll take a photo and post it next time for you guys to see once it's all done. It's just a hard time. It's hard to find time during the week, so a lot of that stuff gets squeezed in during the weekend. But Dylan, thanks for stopping by, man. I'll text you later on, man, and we will figure out a time to link up, dude. Maybe Thursday. Maybe we can hit up the Europa League match, man. Let me know. Kai, thank you guys. Take it easy, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you guys on the next one. Talk to you later. Bye.